and you can watch the recording, or you can turn off your audio or video. That's entirely up to you. Okay, let me share my screen and we'll get started. While I'm doing that, can you guys tell me, everybody is obviously, I'm pretty sure, created some content in Blackboard. Is that not true? Oops, I didn't need to do that. And all of you are probably familiar with the fact that the content editor changed very recently, as a matter of fact, a little less than 30 days ago. And the content editor, as we call it, or text editor, is something that shows up in various places of Blackboard. It works for both you and your students when they're creating things as well as you are. So the content editor is rather ubiquitous in Blackboard, but it typically is apparent when you are actually creating an item. So hoping you can see my course, my demo training 2 Sandy course. Thank you, Sandy, for providing this great utility for so long and allowing me to be the teacher in your course. And just checking back in. I lost my video to you guys, so hang on, let me bring that back. Okay, can everybody still see and hear me?
Oh, that looks like my stuff. Oh no, oh no, oh no.
Oh, it is. Well, he's not going to open it. Don't use it. That is doll, remember? Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were working with her on something here?
Yeah, I'll just delete those.
Yeah.
How could I possibly forget?
Yeah, how could I forget?
Sandy was amazing. I was not so much.
Well, hopefully these things are making us all amazing. That's the opportunity that we have to do so. All right, so at any point in time, but particularly most of us anyway, are using our learning content space in our courses to actually place the items that we want in here. And yeah, there's even a content editor when you are doing an exam. This is an exam in this case. Just about everything that you would put in a content space uses a content editor of some sort, okay? Let me just dive right in and talk about the different types of content. Is there anything in this menu that I've just popped up that you guys are not familiar with? Just, or are there some items that you use more than others from this particular menu that you see on the screen? And you can put that in the chat, or you could just open your microphone and hit. I mean, the typical things are the first two. Of course, most of us probably do use content folders or possibly module pages. And you may have actually inserted audio, images, video, web links, other things. I'm just curious, you know, again, through your through the chat, if you could just say particular ones that you use most of the time or ones that you haven't used at all. And I just want to bring an awareness to all the different things that are here, all right, when you're trying to create content in your course. And try to understand if they're, you know, the people that are out there using these tools, you know, how many of them are familiar and how many of them are not. And, you know, it's not meant to get into this at all in this session, but just realize at some point, you're welcome to choose any one of these tools. Let's just say, you know, you've never looked at a lesson plan, for instance, and all you have to do is click on it. It's going to start a process for doing a lesson plan. And the nice thing is that you always have context help right here on the page that you're working on. And it can talk to you about the idea of using this lesson plan tool that's built right in Blackboard. And also you can go to the Blackboard help facility, which will tell you a lot more than this context sensitive help. So just keep that in mind, that there are so many different ways to build content and different specific types and very general types. All right, so most of you have indicated that you've done files, you've done audio, images, and video. That's cool. And first two, and course links. I would have to agree with Jimmy boy there, saying that I think most people just work here in these two, and then at times want to create either a web link or a course link to content that already exists in the course. That's what a course link is, so that you don't have to put it in twice. You're just jumping people from one spot in your course to where the actual content that you put in really exists. Okay. Web links, I think, are pretty popular because, you know, many of us actually put in some type of resources to something out there on the internet. But any of these can actually be done in these first two items. You know, just choosing an item or a file can be your primary way to do just about everything that you want to in a Blackboard content item on a page in Blackboard. All right. So the difference between item and file, as Dahl is asking, is simply this. When you click on file, it really is just saying to you, hey, what do you want to call this item? Blah, blah, blah. And where is the file that you're connecting to? So all it's doing is putting up a Word doc so that the students have access to it, you know, adding a picture, whatever it is, a type of file that you want, and giving them access to it. It's really, really simple. It's simply a file that you have on your computer or in your content connect collection to add to a spot in your page of learning content. Items are very, very basic and generic, but can be just about anything simply because of the beautiful content editor we want. So we'll call this item 1. Okay. And in this beautiful content editor, and a lot of the tools that you see here in this content editor, we have always had. All right, there's been a few adjustments to some of the tools in the content editor, but I think many of us have not really explored them. So in this content editor, not only can we just type in some text and play with it 9 ways to Sunday like we would in a Word doc. That's what all these tools here, mostly on the first two toolbars, are for. But we have a bunch of other things starting with about right here that allow us to do some very, very cool things with the content that we have in our content editor. And we'll talk about that briefly. So the obvious ones are how we can manipulate text and, you know, how we can change headings, again, manipulating the text, where we can add bullets, numbered bullets, etc., and change colors, and all things 9 ways to Sunday. So I think these things are kind of obvious, and I'm going to speak for Kathy Jo. We don't want you to get too crazy with what you do to your text. Keep your text relatively simple and not too many colors, etc. Think about accessibility for everybody, and think about the type of fonts that we typically like to use that are accessible. You can see by the default, Arial is a font that is done in Blackboard by default, and it certainly is an accessible font. Is that not true, Kathy Jo? Just double check me because that's not my area.
That is true. That is true. It, Arial, Calibre, Verdana. So what Joe is saying is that you look for fonts that are sans serif because they don't have a tail.
No tails. All right, keep that in mind. We're not going formal.
Right.
Tails are optional.
And science and math is okay, but for regular words, with everybody here, don't do the tails. We're going formal, like Joe said.
All right. Next, you know, here's where you can do your format clearing. So what is kind of nice now is that if you do copy and pasting, all right, and let's just say you're doing something from Word, and you're throwing it into this content editor box down here in the body. Sometimes the formatting that comes over from wherever you're pulling your material, pardon me, could be a website even. Sometimes that formatting it can screw up the way things look, or it may not display as you expect it to in the content editor when you actually are done what you're doing. So if you select your text and then clear the formatting using this button, then you're able to apply whatever you want in terms of the formatting using these toolbars here in your text editor. And the underarching code that might be there from what you've copied from is taken out of the picture.
Joe, can you, one question on that. So would I click the clear formatting before I do the copy and paste or after I copy and paste into it?
After you copy and paste.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yep. So once you have any material in here, and again, it could be that you've actually pasted that material, you would simply just hit the clear formatting. If you've typed it in, there is no formatting behind the scenes. Now, how do you see formatting? I'm jumping a little bit to some other tool on the toolbar here, but just to give you an idea. This tool, which used to say HTML before, is your code or text, HTML hypertext tool for Blackboard. And anybody that has ever done any type of coding on a website understands this type of protocol and structure. But right here, all we're basically seeing is the text that I typed in, which was obviously nonsense, and a couple of text syntax codes that talk about leaving space or creating a new paragraph, those kinds of things. If you brought over a Word doc and click that button, I shouldn't say a Word doc, but you've copied and pasted from a Word doc, you would see a lot more than just the text in this source code box. You would see a lot of the code that comes over from the information that's behind your text in a Word document. And there's always a lot more behind that white background that you type your text on. That's what
I have a question.
Sure.
So I've noticed some changes on here, and when I copy and paste, it actually came up and says clear formatting or like remove formatting or keep formatting. Like it was giving me that question.
Yeah.
So I did try it different ways and notice like what it did or didn't do.
Sure.
Is that the same as that clear formatting button that's
Yeah.
already doing it for me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Can
So-
I add something there, Joe?
Sure, go right ahead.
Yeah, Allison, I know what you mean. And also, you cannot right click and copy and paste anymore. You have to use the Control C and the
Yeah.
Control V. And also that little area, just keep that in mind if you're copying over a code from something, whether it's an embed code from a YouTube video or something like Edpuzzle, or anytime you have some kind of a code that you want to put, set up in your content area, that's what you'll have to use. And when you click on it, what Joe showed you before, he had some code in there. But if you were to bring over a YouTube code or a embed code or a Edpuzzle, that's where you would do it.
Yeah, that's good. I was going to kind of get to that eventually, but while we're on it, so if you're using a website, and it even could be YouTube,
Mhm.
you usually have an option. Not every website does this, but you usually have an option to embed content from other web pages to other web pages or Blackboard. Think of Blackboard is a lot like a website, but we call it a learning management system, but it works a lot like a website. So whenever you're embedding something directly into Blackboard, you always need to use the embed code with this source code tool in the content editor in order to do that. You would just paste that into the content editor, you hit save, and then your
Joe?
show here. Yes.
Joe, what's the difference between just copying and pasting and embedding? What is embedding?
Yes. So if you're embedding something, you're normally getting content from another site. That content may or may not have any type of mechanism already built into it, so that when you put it in Blackboard, and that's an embedding mechanism, it shows up almost exactly like it would show up on that original site that you took it from. That is, if it were a video, it would be a video on your Blackboard page. When you copy something, and if it's from a website, you're probably copying a link or just text, you're just going to paste that into the content editor. And if it's a link, what the link does is when somebody clicks on it, is it actually takes them to that external page that you copied it from. All right. When it's embedded in Blackboard, it is being viewed from that external page, but they don't move to that external page. They stay in your Blackboard content page when they're watching something. Okay. That's a basic element of embedding, is that it doesn't take them away from where you have them. Whereas if it's a link, you know, it's going to open another window probably, and then they're going to have to navigate back to your content page in Blackboard in order to do that. So there's pros and cons to embedding and not embedding. For instance, I worked with Jason Zulli yesterday, and he has a lot of videos that his students have to watch, and he's got them all on one page and he embeds them. Well, you know what? For some people, it might take a long time for that page to actually completely display, because all that content sort of has to come into the Blackboard page, and somebody on a slow connection, it might take, 2 minutes for it to load that learning content page in Blackboard because he's embedded. If you have a link in there, that Blackboard page would load right away. Right? So there's some pros and cons to doing it both ways. If you have one item on a page in Blackboard that's embedded, it's not going to cause any problems. Probably not 2 or 3 items either. Good questions, and thanks for throwing them out whenever you want to. The one thing I want you to be aware of about this content editor, or 2 things really, is that sometimes you may inadvertently hit buttons and not realize what you're doing, but by default, you should be seeing 3 distinct rows of a toolbar here. And obviously, if I make this smaller, it's responsive and it's going to change its size depending upon my window, or if I'm using a mobile device, it's going to look a little bit different too. But going back to a full screen, if you click this 3-button ellipsis here, it's going to make your toolbar smaller so that you have a little bit more room to work in the content editor. So if you happen to click on this inadvertently and you're thinking, hey, where are all my buttons? Just click it again and your toolbar buttons will come back, right? The other thing you can do, once again, sometimes this space isn't adequate to work in, is you can completely pop out the content editor right here using this expansion button. And when you do that, voila, now you got a whole freaking web page in order to actually work within, and that can be really nice, right? To get back, you just toggle this button again, and it brings you back into your Blackboard course.
Hey, Joe, what happened to the insert a picture feature?
All right, you're jumping, but let's get right to it. What the heck, because this is the good stuff. So before, like in about this space right here, there used to be a number of different tools, and Sandra's talking about inserting a picture. You could insert a video. In some places, you could actually insert a piece of audio, a variety of tools. Well, now what they've done is some of them we called mashups actually, but now we've put everything into one space. And that one space is right here, the plus button.
The plus.
I'm so not used to this too. So when you click that plus button, you're now given a complete menu, if you will, of different things that you can insert, all right? So, and some of it has been compressed. So if you wanted to do a picture, Sandra, you would just probably do this local file, right? So you'd click here, you'd find that picture wherever you have it stored on your computer, all right? And you would insert it and it would come out as a picture. If it happens to be in your content collection in Blackboard, you can use the content collection, or if it's up there in your OneDrive or some other cloud service, you can insert it from there too. So, that content editor was obviously very familiar to all of us, but there was a lot of things that it still didn't do because, we're now in a world of doing things a lot more from the internet, and this new content editor will allow for much more capability, whether it be from your computer or from information and files that are external to your computer. Go ahead.
Of course, I have a question. Was it Monday? I guess Monday, yesterday. Gosh, I can't believe that was yesterday. All right, so I don't know, this year. So I sent out a Monday memo every Monday, and this week I sent out one with a video that I made. And I know in the announcements it's there, but when you have the option to send it as an email, which I like that they also get the email, the video was not there. Is that just the way it is? That's just the way it is. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure.
When the email announcement comes out, it's primarily a text announcement, Allison. Okay.
Okay.
But what's in that announcement? A button for them to click on to go to Blackboard where they see it in its entirety.
Okay.
Yeah.
I caught it after the first one because I always check it after I get the email to make sure I can copy and paste. And so then I just change like go to Blackboard or go to announcements to watch this video. So I'm only messed up on the one, but I wasn't sure if I just did something wrong. All right, thank you.
Yeah, and it may be a good default thing to do in any of your announcements. You know, to see this announcement fully. We see that sometimes, like if you get an advertising email from JCPenney, right? And it comes in your email. What's one of the first things you see up at the top there? You know, click here to go to the actual website to see it if you can't see it all in your email, et cetera. They want you to go to the website, to the browser, et cetera, where a lot more capability can happen rather than from an email. And keep in mind, while we think everybody's using Outlook out there now, people use all different types of email services and email clients and stuff, and things don't always render exactly the same in each one of those systems that the person, your recipient, is looking at it from. So it's always good to maybe just put a disclaimer in there, just for, you know, click on the button that says go to my course or view in the course, and then they'll be sure to see everything.
Thanks.
Okay. Now, these 5 items that you see here are what we call mashups, and they were always there as well. But again, now they've just put them together in this one content collection of a table of contents to add just about anything you want to the content area, the content editor. So if you use Echo 360, you have access to the Echo 360 library right here. That would be your library because it takes you directly to your library. It knows who's logged on. This is Films on Demand, which is accessible from our library database. Flickr has nothing to do with NCC, but you know, it is an account out there that shares photos. And any one of these tools, if you go to use it, you'll actually be able to search. And when I get to YouTube, we'll go through one real quick. SlideShare is a website out there where people can upload presentations that they've created, and they can make them public, and anyone else can use those presentations. And then, of course, YouTube in general. So I think a lot of folks already at NCC use Films on Demand directly in Blackboard and know about this mashup. But if you don't, and if you are asking your students to look at certain films, regardless of your discipline, that are available in this database, which is really cool. This just makes it really tidy, again, inside of the Blackboard course, going back to what Sandra had said, you know, the kind of like embedding it right into the course, and students can access this material directly without leaving your Blackboard page. So if you go and click on the YouTube mashup, what it does is it brings up this little search mechanism. Somebody give me a topic and we'll go search for something. Turkey, right? I heard you say turkey. All right, so we'll search for turkey, hit go or enter. And in a moment's notice, you'll get 1 of 10 of a million items that has popped up in the search box, right? And naturally, there is the place turkey. I was thinking about the game bird turkey. But at any point in time, you can just click and see what has come up in your search and hit select. And it gives you a preview of this. You can watch it right here in this preview window, all right? Or click preview down here. But if you like what you see, you simply submit it and it ends up on the page. into your content editor first. Okay, we haven't submitted the content as a whole yet, the item that we were creating from scratch, right? So here's what I want to show you, another tool, which again was available before, but a lot of people weren't aware of it. It was the preview tool. So if you want to see how this looks before you actually hit submit, and then see it on your page, and then say, I want to change something, and then you have to modify it and go back, you can, if you're happy with what you see right now, click this eyeball here. And when it brings up basically what's going to be visible on the page to your students. So this shows you what it's going to look like. You know, if you did anything to this text, it'll be highlighted or bolded and colored and stuff. And you can actually click on the item just to see what happens. It should actually run. Let's hope it does. I didn't test this out. So this whole preview thing, editor, I wasn't sure if it worked the way it used to. But in the previous preview with the old editor prior to November 5th, if you clicked on it here, it would actually run. So apparently it's not going to do that. And I'm not sure. I'll have to find out whether or not that's a glitch right now, or if it's just something on the roadmap for fixing. All right. So before I submit this, and we'll be able to view that video, I just want to talk about the other items here. So you got some math tools. You've got your link capability. All right. So Sandra, if you were going to not embed and you were just going to put a link to something, you would simply highlight the text of what you wanted to link, right? Find a page right here, copy your URL. Now, Sandra said something about copying and pasting, right? I'm going to open up this link by clicking on it, and it says, put the URL that we just copied here. I'm going to right click on my mouse and click paste, and that went in okay. So in some places, your clicking is going to work, and in some places, your Control V is going to work. I'm going to do that one more time with Control V now. Control V, and that worked too. And then we're going to try it on the page as well. And of course, your text to display would be good to do. That's your alternate text. So if somebody has a screen reader, they'll have an idea of what they're hovering over when the screen reader sees it. In any case, we're going to save that. And now when I click off, you'll see that it's hard to see. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit for you guys. Okay. But this does have an underline, and it's an actual link. Well, maybe not. I hope that actually worked, did it? It should turn blue too. Let's try that one more time. So we've got it highlighted. We're going to link. Window. We're saving. I'm not sure why that's not working.
So I find that it doesn't show it until you submit it.
Same thing, huh? Thank
Yeah,
you.
I don't like that.
I don't like that.
That's-
Now,
I
wait a
don't
minute.
like
wait a minute.
that.
Unless you go into preview,
I'm in
but
preview.
maybe it'll work.
He's in
Let's see.
preview.
It looks like I got a finger pointer here. Let's see if that works. Still doesn't work.
Go out of oh yeah, I saw the
That's really a shame. All right. So let's continue on and look at some of these.
Sheesh.
The one that I really want to talk about is one that some people have had some displeasure with already. So we've always had spell check, right? And when you're typing, it normally tells you when you've not spelled something correctly with the red squiggly line that we're all used to, right? Well, not this new content editor, I'm sorry to say. Manual spell check is the word of the day. So after you get all your text in here, you need to click the actual spell check button, all right? And then it's going to find the words that it thinks need to be changed. And then you can change them. But it doesn't automatically show you by looking in the editor itself that something is awry. Right? We're going to try to find out what is the problem with this, and as with the other couple of things with this preview window that we need to look into a little bit further. All right. Here we have more math stuff, even some emojis now, which I don't think we had too many of before, but they've increased the level of that. If you want to create a table, you can do so. We've always had table capability, but making a table structure here inside the course is as easy as dropping this down, similar to Word, and you can have a table, and then you can add text in a table right here inside your content editor.
What's to the left of the table?
Say it again.
What's the icon to the left of the table icon?
This is called anchoring, all right? So if you want to have a particular item on the page that stays exactly where you want it to be, you could do that here. I think, hang on a second. I think again, we'd have to have something highlighted. Obviously we had our text highlighted here. And say notice that the mark will set up right here.
So does that mean that regardless of anything else changing on the page, that will always stay there?
That's my understanding.
Yes.
Yes. Great. So it's kind of like a bookmark or a location placeholder for the item that you highlight. Okay. Let's see. We did the code, and this is for accessibility. That's a new tool, basically. So if you want to use the accessibility checker, I'm not really sure how good it is. I don't know if Kathy Jo wants to speak to that, if she's tried it at all. But
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've tried it. It has some nice features in. And one of the things and Laura and I were playing around with this. One of the things that it does have, it tells you like a table must have at least one header cell. Now it's empty, so it doesn't. I think it's also really sensitive. For example, I used one assignment I had in a class, and the assignment I had in steps, and I did not put it in bullets, but because it was a several steps. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. Step 4, open this, and it kept saying it was off. And this was a what I was not doing recently, and so I changed it to bullets. And it said, okay, all's good. But I had 10 steps. It was a pretty complex assignment. I had 10 steps. I did 8 bullets and left number 9, step 9, and step 10 as is. And it says it was fine. Like I didn't have a list. Then I clicked on one more bullet and I added step 8. So they believe 3 or more in a list, they may push you back that it needs to be formatted differently. But our read and write screen readers, which I already tested with it, the students have, they were able to read the list. So sometimes lists become very confusing for students, especially students that are blind, how the JAWS reads. But for the most part of it, they were, if it was able to be read during a read and write screen reader. But that's where it was. It was on the list. And one thing I don't like about it, if you, oh, I'm sorry, I have to try. If you click on Joe, the little question mark under here, it takes you to here, which is very difficult to understand. So I think what the best way to do it is go over and give a quick accessibility check. If there's something, oh, you need to do this, this, and this, and you click on it, it can hit the repair. Most of the time, it's a really quick formatting.
Yeah, I just did that. As a matter of fact, I did add the alternate text because it flagged that to here. And I'm trying to see. Yeah, here it comes. Oh, this already had something. Yeah, there you go. This is coming up from YouTube, actually, what you're seeing right now. So I'm wondering how that plays in when a screen reader sees something coming through from the source, as well as the alt text that I put on there, Kathy Jo.
Right. And it's new. It's new. I think, you know, it's worth, after you put it on, sure, really give it a try. And then you really start to see where it picks up. But like PowerPoint, this is like really super sensitive. And then it said success, no issues, delete, no issues on it. And
Good.
most of the times it's very easy that, oh, I forgot to do this. Yeah, I can quickly add alt text or they may repair it for me.
Thank you. Here is, this is something that is related to code, but it's not HTML code like you would do for embedding. This would be for possibly some folks that are doing some computer science work or something where they would actually want to type in their own code and see what the effect is of it in their Blackboard course. I don't know, Sandy, have you had anybody that tried to use that with computer science? I don't think you get to that at
No,
that level of your course, right?
no, I haven't.
Okay. Of course, we got a question mark, which talks about the different items that are here. So please use these help things that are available to you. I'm also going to throw some items in the chat for you to have access to in a moment. And that pretty much gives you an idea of the stuff that's here. I didn't talk about the kind of obvious copy, paste, and cut buttons that you have. And there is even a search tool if you need a search tool within your content. Some people create a little bit too much content in one window, but that's entirely up to you. So let's submit this. And of course, we could add a date and time restrictions and all types of other things, make it available or not available. But here you can see how it's turned out. Doesn't look any different. And per Allison, yeah, looks like our link is going to work. We didn't have it open it in a new window, so we have to use our back button to get back there. And indeed, we should be able to see this video just by clicking on it, and it plays in a box, embedded box, right over the top of your Blackboard page. So that when they're done, looks like he's getting breakfast somewhere.
Nice video, Joe.
Yeah, right?
I like it.
Right? And you can see how our tables showed up, etc. So the main point to all this is that, one, there are a heck of a lot of items that some of us may not have been aware of in the content editor, and we want you to know about them now. And we thought too, since the content editor has been recently updated, that we would give you not just what was there, but what has changed as well. And we're trying to do that very quickly in a short order. And I can see I've gone way over my time. But that said, let me tell you that there's great help within Blackboard, right? Always is. And I'm going to send these links to you. So if you're looking to create course materials, here's the variety, one of the best pages to actually start with. I'm going to put that in the chat right now. This is a great, oops, why did that not go through? I see why. Give me a second, everyone. Let's try that. Sandra left, and for some reason I was set up to go privately with her. And there is, this is kind of your main space to jump off of to get to a number of things, such as the types of course content you can have. And if you need a refresher on either all these items that I pointed out in the beginning, they're right here on this page. All right, I'll put that link in there too. Okay, and then different types of items and documents that you can review here, and working with text if you need a little bit of help with that. Again, you'll see the new text editor in most of these pages right within the Blackboard help. The primary one that I want you to know about is this one here, because you can jump off of this main page to a variety of different locations. Now I have a couple more pretty good things to send your way. Give me a second here. This is a video which was done by our lovely Lauren about the changes to the content editor. That was not the correct one. Let me try that again. Here it comes. That's better. Okay, so that would say echo360.org. That's in Echo. And a good little comparison tool is right here. So if you're looking to understand what happened between the old editor and the new editor, this little comparison tool will provide you that information. Okay? Any questions that I can answer before we say adieu? I hope you found this helpful. Anybody want to add anything else at all?
I have a question.
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
hear me?
We can.
Okay. The material that's in the chat
Yes.
area, how do we access it after the Zoom is over? Or
Yes, they're all links. So the links to the Blackboard help will always be there until they decide to change them. The link to the Echo video will be there. We're not going to remove that. And the link to the document is in my SharePoint, and I'll leave that alone too. So any of those links, that content will stay accessible to you.
Yes, but you should
do we
save
have to,
before you leave the Zoom.
how do I save the link?
I beg your pardon. Okay. I totally missed your question point there, Sandra.
Yeah, click on it and
Just
it'll go
click
into
on
your
any one
browser.
of those links, and it should open up a page in a browser for you. And then once we're done today, those pages will stay there.
Oh, okay. I don't have to copy and paste it onto the
You don't
document.
have to.
Just
You
click
can
the two
click on them
links.
right now.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah, for clearing that up. Would know better. Okay. Anything else from anybody? Sandra, do you have anything to add for us? That'd be Sandy Hannigan.
No, I think that's it. I know Doll had a question.
Did
Yeah,
we answer?
thank you. Yeah, I just, sorry, I didn't have access to the mute and stuff until just now again. So I just have a quick question about videos. I know you covered a lot about videos and I really appreciate that. But so when we were on ground, I would often show little snippets of videos or very short videos during a PowerPoint presentation. So like in one PowerPoint, I might show 2 different videos at 2 different points in the PowerPoint, you know. And I still like to show in Collaborate Live, Blackboard Collaborate Live, I still like to show PowerPoint sometimes, but I found that if I had a video in the PowerPoint, the students would say, oh, we can't hear it. Or, you know, depending on their, I guess, hardware, I don't know what it depends on, their connectivity or something, it would be too slow or something. So then somebody, I think it was a colleague told me that what he does is copy the URL of the video, like if it's a YouTube video, and paste that into the chat, and then ask everybody, okay, now, you know, go view this video. It's 2 minutes and 28 seconds, and then come back and we'll proceed. And so I do that now, but I don't really like doing that because I'm afraid that maybe students don't really do it and they're just going to do something else for 2.5 minutes. And so what's the best, could you recommend the best way for me to do it? And again, I don't mean, I mean, I could just post the videos in the content, you know, but what about for when you're live? And I don't really want necessarily to record a narrated PowerPoint in these cases. So do you have any suggestions for me on that?
Well, that was a lot to digest there, Doll, and that
Sorry.
be a pretty wide conversation. And also, I would prefer to actually show you a couple of things. Like something I heard was you possibly need to click it when you're doing Blackboard Collaborate, so you do get the audio. There may be a difference between embedding that right in PowerPoint or shifting to an actual application share instead of doing the PowerPoint share. So we should probably talk about the best mechanism for you for that circumstance, but there's a number of ways to go at it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And if you want, we're going to be in session 12:30 to 3:30 today if you have time to jump into the walk-in, faculty walk-in.
Thanks.
Okay. So I will go ahead and save the chat. And I'm also going
Yeah,
to
someone's looking for the
a
chat.
document with all of these links in it, and I'm going to email it to each one of you. So don't be too concerned about the information. I like to follow up with email to everybody anyway. Okay. Anything else? All right. Everybody,
Yeah,
go.
I have
Turkey
a
lunch.
comment.
Yes.
I guess it was Sandy that said that to save the chat file,
Yes,
I go to the three dots, but when
click
I
on the
click
three dots.
when I click on it, it doesn't give me an option to save the chat. It
Could be a
just
permission thing then.
it says
Yeah, it
disable
probably-
video receiving.
Oh, sorry. Well,
Yeah,
I can see it, but then
It
again,
may not be for participants. Sorry.
okay, okay.
So how do I save the chat file?
So Joe's
I'm gonna
going to
send-
send you the
send it
chat.
to you.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That is how you, in your own meeting, you can save the chat like that.
yeah.
I don't think participants are allowed for this one.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I wanted to know for the future as well, so that's how I do it. Thank you very much.
I see it there and I'm a participant.
Yeah, I just look where it's, does it have two, you see two, and then you see everyone, and then all the way to the right, you see file, and then the three ellipses. Click on that, and you should be able to save chat. I'm pretty sure we had it enabled,
Yeah.
but
No, I don't.
I was able to do it.
is it hidden? Is it hidden? Move your chat box
What?
up a little bit.
What device are you on? Might that make a difference?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm on a computer.
Okay. Move your chat box up a little bit. It might, be all the way down at the bottom and you can't see it.
I don't. Well, I'll try to figure it out on my own then.
We'll send you
Because
the
I don't-
chat.
I
We can
don't
send
see
you
it.
the chat.
Or drop
Move
into the walk-in and we'll help you, Sandra.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye now.
All
Okay.
right, everybody, have a great afternoon and thanks for joining us today.
Yep.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Too.
Bye.
Bye.